This is the Lekker Rugby Pod with Harry Jones and MV Avella, brought to you by Sit and Cards.
How's it, Lekker Rugby Pod, people? Yeah, I watched Ireland just stave off Argentina at the last with a mysterious knock-on that we never saw. Let me just get something straight. I'm not saying that the referee didn't see what he thought was a knock-on, but every single body language I saw said the opposite. There was a series of drives, pick and drives. There was short, sharp phase work. And then there was this kind of jubilation by Ireland claiming that they've been a knock-on. Looked like to me it could have just been kicked ball. When you follow Argentina for a while, that could be pretty histrionic. But this time there was that sort of calm outrage. Like they wanted the referee to take a look at it. The team took at the vision. And then we never, from the television side, in all this furor about making a good product and making sure we invite people to the game, in a game that was really, truly wonderful to watch, 22-19 with Ireland doing all of its scoring early and then kind of holding on for dear life. You would have thought that every major sport you would show the call at Wimbledon that, scuffed the grass and you could see a little mark, or in the NFL, they would give you 17 angles of whether the guy laid out and caught the ball or not. Can't imagine Mike Tyson fighting tonight and there wouldn't be incredible slow motion recapitulation of what happens, whatever happens. UFC, the same thing. So it's staggering that we would have all these cameras be able to show all kinds of things, and spider cams and drone cameras almost getting hit by a Gary Owen, but we never see, not even an attempt to see the knock-on. So wouldn't have changed the facts, but it would have been interesting TV to see it. Scientists tell us there's no such thing as momentum in sport. It's a fiction. There's, 150 rucks here or there, and you have your attacking sets, your defensive sets, and you do well on them or you don't. It doesn't really go in as many runs as you think it does. There's scoreboard pressure. People get nervous, but with the first hour or so, there's not really any showing of any pattern that would suggest that there's actual mojo. You start well, then you fade, and then you make a mistake and you're imprecise. Ireland has just been inaccurate in the autumn series against the All Blacks and now against the Pumas. Just terribly off on their actual short tip passes, their lines. They're obstructing each other, getting each other's way. Obviously, they started out with like a house on fire, but it kind of accumulates. And there's a couple of culprits. I mean, James Lowe is one of those guys who will win a game for you and he'll lose it for you too. 3 turnovers lost, 5 missed tackles, all kinds of grubbers when he should have held on to the ball, or actually just, phased one more time. Ireland did play most of the rugby. They had 432 meters to 305 by the Pumas, 3 tries to 1, about 60 more passes. But where they might have fallen down is they didn't kick enough, actually. So they kicked to the wrong times. They kicked too many times in the places they shouldn't have, and not enough just middle of the field game time kicking. Probably in the second half, they kind of fell off there. So 18 kicks for them, 24 kicks for Argentina. But they did enough clean breaking and defender beating to put this into a more comfortable phase, except the 13-6 penalty count. And these were bad penalties. These were penalties that were not strategic, not done as a way of stalling. They were just forced penalties because Argentina was being that good. It was being that influential. The saving grace for Ireland and why they hung on was probably the territory. They were up by 57% territory to 43, whereas possession was essentially equal. And that will help you. For Ireland, the heavy carrier actually was Hugo Keenan, which is a bizarre stat for them. It's usually, Caelan Doris or someone like that. Ringrose was on fire, and he kind of made up for Lowe's bad play. And for Argentina, Delgui was actually the one who was breaking tackles. Malia was supersonic on how he scored. And they didn't lose as many turnovers as well. So interesting game. I think Ireland is on course to have its best year ever in a non-World Cup year. This would have actually cemented it as the best ever. It would have been best ever by a long shot. They had a drop goal to draw the game. But I would say that final drive, there were a few things that they probably look back on and say they would have done differently. I felt like they always had the measure of the man when they were one-on-one, so they should have released it earlier instead of going for phase, because deeper into the phase, not a momentum thing, deeper into the phase count, you just run such a risk. It felt like the referee had swallowed his whistle for defensive penalties, but just even this knock on that we've never seen. So please, someone show it to me. I put the word out to Argentina, and hopefully they'll send me something. There has to be a fan in the grounds that has good vision of that. I suppose in the weeks to come there'll be an aerial view, and there'll be the subterranean view, like a mole, and we'll see this mystery knock on. But wonderful performance by Argentina. With that start going against them, 2 tries, they could have just crawled into a hole. They just hung in there. They didn't let scoreboard pressure, which is a real thing, get to them, because they just kept taking their threes. And a 3 is not that much worse than a 5. It's right there. So just keep doing that for a while and then hang in there. And I think at an hour in, 65 minutes in, nobody knew. Even people on the ground, you could tell they'd fallen a little bit quiet and they didn't know. So far, not a good autumn for Ireland, even though they're 1-1. This looks bad. Looks stale. How could that be? They were on a pinnacle in Durban. I suppose it's a game that requires so much precision. It's a beautiful style they play. They need a lot of rucks. It's not even about breaks per se. It's having enough plays, enough attacking sets that it works. And 100 passes tonight by Jamison Gibson Park. It's a lot of finding. And if people are just a little bit off, wrong places, wrong shapes, it can go south in a hurry. I don't think Ireland has found its backups per se. I think they're still scrambling there. Some of them, just hit just right in Durban, but it doesn't look like they're sustainably just right. The other thing is, I don't think there's the level of intelligence in directing people around the field that has developed either. So I don't know, Henshaw's kind of a quiet guy. Ringrose is sort of that cherubic choir boy looking face guy. The wings are loud, but they're too far on the edges, the Kiwi and the Aussie. And Hugo is also a quiet guy. So it'll have to come from the traditional places, the 10s, not from 9. So Crowley looked like he was driving the team until he wasn't. And Ireland has suddenly become a more interesting side to examine. We were kind of swept away by them, and now we're looking at them more critically. On Argentina's side, it's interesting how long they labored with a non-fly-off until now they have one. And it can make a big difference. Midfield's strong. They have interchangeable loose forwards. They almost play a left-right, old-fashioned French, South African loose forward setup where it's not so much pure open side and blind side, but just left and right. And they can actually mix and match with their 8 if they want. Juan Martin Gonzalez is an unbelievable talent. And you just wonder where all the good props have gone. That's the missing piece. All right, so tomorrow is the big one. England will have a live go at halftime in Oranges, and then also at full time. And it's also going to try and put together a few clips that give you a reason, if you're if you're neutral, why you should hate England. Why if you're English, you should go against yourself. And then finally, the magic and beauty of being South African and going up against the English in any sport, anytime, anywhere. Cheers.
This is the Lekker Rugby Pod with Harry Jones and Mbia Vella, brought to you by Sit and Cards.